Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, When Quirky Sat and Waited for Me to Come Back. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don and oppose. Like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. Quirky always knew when I was about to leave. Not because I said anything, but because of the small signs. The way I picked up my keys, the pause before putting on my shoes, the half-second of hesitation when I looked around the room as if I might forget something important. Quirky noticed all of it. He always did. That morning felt ordinary. The sky outside was pale and quiet, the kind of morning that doesn't rush you. I moved slowly, making coffee, checking my phone, tying my shoes without much thought. Quirky followed me from room to room, his nails clicking softly on the floor, his tail wagging in a lazy rhythm. He wasn't excited. He wasn't anxious. He was simply present. When I opened the door, Quirky didn't bark or jump. Instead, he walked to his favorite spot near the door, a small patch of sunlight that slipped in through the window in the afternoon. He sat down carefully, curling his tail around his paws, and looked up at me with calm eyes. It was the look that always got me. Not sad, not dramatic, just trusting. "I'll be back," I said, as if he understood the words. Maybe he didn't understand the sentence, but he understood the promise behind it. Quirky tilted his head slightly, ears relaxed, then sat perfectly still. No chasing after me, no whining, just waiting. As I closed the door, I glanced back one last time. Quirky hadn't moved. He was still sitting there, as if his job for the day was simple: stay, wait, believe. Outside, the world felt louder. Cars passed. People walked by, busy with their own lives. I joined them, thinking about work, schedules, and things that felt important at the time. Yet somewhere in the back of my mind, a quiet image stayed with me. Quirky, sitting patiently by the door, holding space for my return. Time doesn't move the same way for dogs. For me, the day stretched and folded in familiar ways. Meetings began and ended. Messages came and went. I checked the clock without noticing how often I did it. Hours passed like stepping stones, predictable and forgettable. But for Quirky, time was not measured in hours. It was measured in smells fading, in light shifting across the floor, in sounds outside the door that almost, but not quite, sounded like me. He stayed near the door most of the morning. Sometimes he lay down, resting his chin on his paws. Sometimes he sat up again, alert, just in case. The house was quiet, but not empty. It held memories of us. The corner where we played, the couch where he slept beside me, the kitchen where food magically appeared. When the sunlight moved away from his spot, Quirky followed it without complaint. He didn't understand where I went, but he understood that leaving didn't mean disappearing. Experience had taught him that. Occasionally, he wandered to the window and looked outside. People passed. Dogs passed. None of them were me. He sighed softly, then returned to his place by the door. Waiting, for Quirky, wasn't boring. It was an act of faith. In the afternoon, a sudden noise made him jump. A door somewhere in the building, footsteps on the stairs. His ears perked up, tail lifting. He hurried to the door, heart racing, hope rising. But it wasn't me. Quirky stood there for a moment, then slowly sat down again. No anger, no frustration, just patience. As the day went on, the house grew warmer. Shadows lengthened. Quirky drank some water, ate his food, and returned to waiting. He trusted that the rhythm of our life would continue as it always had. Back in my world, I felt tired. The day had taken more energy than I expected. I thought about going somewhere else before heading home, maybe delaying just a little longer. Then, without warning, the image came back, Quirky sitting by the door. I checked the time and smiled. I should go home, I thought. And for the first time that day, it felt like the most important thing I could do. The sound of my keys was small, but to Quirky, it was everything. Before the door even opened, he was already there. His body leaned forward, tail wagging so hard it almost lifted his back legs off the floor. The moment I stepped inside, he exploded into joy. Not loud, not wild, but full and pure. He circled me, sniffing my shoes, my bag, my hands, as if collecting proof that I was real. His tail brushed against the walls, the door, my legs. He looked up at me with shining eyes, mouth open in what could only be described as a smile. "You waited," I said, kneeling down. Quirky pressed his head against my chest, warm and solid. In that moment, The tiredness of the day loosened its grip on me. The noise of the outside world faded. All that mattered was this small, living being who had trusted me enough to wait. We moved into our evening routine together. I changed my clothes. He followed. I poured water. He watched. We sat on the couch, and Quirky curled up beside me, his breathing slow and steady. There was no resentment in him for the hours I was gone. No silent protest. Just relief and happiness that I had returned. As the night grew quiet, I thought about how easy it was to underestimate moments like this. Leaving and coming back. Sitting and waiting. Loving without conditions. Quirky rested his head on my leg, eyes half closed, completely at peace. His day was complete not because anything exciting happened, but because the person he loved came home. And sitting there, in the soft light of the evening, I realized something simple and important. Sometimes, being someone worth waiting for is one of the greatest responsibilities we have. Quirky's quiet act of waiting may seem small, but it reflects something deeply meaningful about the relationship between humans and animals today. In a fast-paced world where people are constantly rushing, animals remind us of the value of presence, consistency, and trust. Quirky does not measure love by how long I stay at home, but by the certainty that I will return. That kind of trust is not automatic. It is built through daily care, gentle behavior, and keeping promises, even unspoken ones. In modern life, we often treat time as something to spend quickly, forgetting that for those who love us, waiting can be an emotional experience. Animals live fully in the present, yet they remember patterns of kindness. When we show up for them, feeding them on time, returning home when we can, offering affection without distraction, we create a sense of safety that shapes their entire world. Quirky teaches us to slow down, to be mindful of how our actions affect others who depend on us. His patience reminds us to treat both animals and people with empathy, reliability, and respect. By caring for animals thoughtfully, we also learn to become better humans, more attentive, more responsible, and more capable of love that does not demand anything in return.